In this video segment, we're going to talk about customizing storefront systems. And we're going to work with that storefront system we created in the previous videos. Now, storefront systems are kind of a unique animal within Revit because even though they're technically classified as walls, they contain what's called sub-elements, or multiple pieces in which create that wall system. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the grid system and modifying that. We're going to change some panels from glass to doors, and then we're going to add in the mullions and modify those mullions to get them to look the way we want them to. So now we're going to get into working with the storefront system and modifying it to do things like add a door and put in mullions. Now, in order to add in a door, first of all, we need to modify the grid a little bit. Alright, so I want 2 sets of double doors on this, so I'm going to go to my west elevation here. So from the elevation view, what I want to do is I actually want to remove small segments so that I can create an area large enough for my doors. What I want to do is kind of hover over a line that I want to remove, and I'm going to select. If I've got that nice dashed line, that's the one I want to select. If I didn't get that, say I got the overall curtain system, I could leave my mouse alone, don't click anything, and use the tab button to cycle through my options until I get that grid line, and then I'll click. Now that I've got the grid selected, before I can actually work with it, I have to do what's called unpinning it. Now, pinning is an option within Revit that allows you to basically kind of stick something the way it is. And by default, all of the sub-elements of a curtain wall system are usually pinned. So that's okay. All we have to do is hit this little push pin icon and it will become unpinned. You could also press that same icon up here or press UP to unpin it. Once I have the grid line selected, I can come up here to add remove segments. And I'm just going to click down here and click on those to remove them. And what that's going to do, Revit will automatically make that into one large panel of glass that way and one large panel of glass that way. I want to do the same thing vertically. And there we go. Now I've got one large area over here. Do the same thing on this side. Okay, so now that I've got these two areas where I'll fit in a door, I need to select the panel that goes there. And again, I'm just highlighting over, I'm hovering over the edge and pressing the tab button to cycle through my selection. Now I'll pick that panel, and here I'm going to come up into my properties and I'm going to change it from a glazed panel to a curtain wall storefront double door. And there we go. I'll do the same thing over here. Now these panels are only 2 feet by 2 feet, which means my doors are currently at most 4 feet by 4 feet, which is clearly not large enough. So I need to make them a bit bigger. So again, I'll click on my grid lines, add remove segment. I've gone ahead and sped up the recording as I do these repetitive tasks. But what I'm doing is removing additional mullions so that the doors become larger. Now keep in mind that Revit likes to keep the panels rectilinear or some sort of pretty simple geometric shape. As such, it doesn't like L-shaped panels or L-shaped doors. So I had to be very careful about what order I removed the mullions in. Every once in a while, a door panel would get replaced by a glass panel, and all I had to do was just select the panel again, go into the properties, and change it back to the door type. Alright, I'll go to my 3D view. You can see here I have 2 double doors ready to greet our new visitors. But I'm not quite done yet. I need to create some mullions in here because right now it's just a bunch of pieces of glass. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to use my tab select to cycle through and try and get the whole system. There we go. Now I'll go to my architecture tab and say mullions. I'm going to say all grid lines. Then click on my model. Now I get this warning that says some of the mullions you are trying to place are too short for its type and were not placed in the grid. That's probably going to be some of the ones in this general area here, which is perfectly fine. I'll do the same thing with these two remaining areas, and I'm done. Now you'll notice it's not quite perfect because, for example, this mullion here is following the door as opposed to the glass panels. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do about that, but we will make it at least continuous here. So we can just click on the edges and it will make it continuous. This way, from an elevation perspective, it'll still look correct. Revit did automatically add some additional mullions at the bottom of the door because it didn't distinguish that that's a door. So all we have to do is select it and delete them. Although we've got to pick all three pieces of it at the same time. And I'm just holding down the control key to pick all three and delete. There we go. You notice the door automatically updates to stretch all the way down to the ground. And that's pretty much it. We've created all the systems we need to for this. In this video segment, we covered how to work with a storefront system, from adding in mullions, modifying the grids, even changing panels out to be doors instead of regular glass panels. There are additional settings that you can get into and play with within the storefront system, and we'll get into those during the actual training courses. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.